It's Meika Safehouse on the Pet Channel with your host, Ian Sprague. How you doing, Ian?
We're doing good this morning, James. How about yourself?
Good, good, good. You know, we've been having one excellent show after another, and we have another one in store for us. What's on the go today?
Well, this one's a little bit special. We have Kim Blomme from WILDNorth. We're gonna let her talk to us about basically what WILDNorth does, the area they serves, and what it's all about, and some of the things that homeowners can do to make everybody's lives a little bit easier. So that's kind of the trick from today. Okay?
Excellent, excellent. Well,
right.
There you are. Let's
Right.
introduce your guest, and let's have her on.
All right. So Kim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Ian. Thank you very much for inviting me today.
Oh no, this is going to be a lot of fun because we talk a lot about rescuing the parrots and stuff, but when we look outside, you know, we can see that you know, there's a lot of wildlife outside that can use our help, and some of them actually don't really need our help, and we sometimes think that they should. So let's talk about WILDNorth. So what is WILDNorth all about?
Okay, sure. WILDNorth started basically about 30 years ago, and it really, I guess the joke that I say now is that you know, we've never had an injured animal call us. There's always a person attached to that injured animal, right? So we very much are an animal helping organization, but we're also helping people try to figure out what to do when they come across something that they think needs assistance. So we started out about 30 years ago, basically because people were bringing small animals, birds, into veterinary clinics because they found them and they thought they were hurt, and maybe some of them were hurt. They were being turned into the SPCAs, and basically any place, you know, pet stores or whatever, any place that had any association with animals. And what a lot of the clinics and pet stores and the SPCAs were finding is that these are very specialized animals. This is wildlife. This is different than pets. And so they were often at a loss as to what to actually do to help these animals. So we recognized that there was this need partially for helping the injured animals, but also for education as well. And so we started as Alberta Bird Rescue back in 1989, operating out of a garage and a private home. And it very quickly grew. It grew and grew. And once people knew that there was something like that out there, there was more and more demand. And gradually we came to realize that we needed to make something larger, something that could accommodate more animals. And we're still growing every year. We still get more and more animals every year. And we branched from just basically dealing with birds to now also small mammals. And now we're getting calls about deer and moose. And, you know, so it's just like, there's that need out there for what do I do if I see a situation and I'm not quite sure how to help or what we can do. So that's basically what we're about. We have a very strong education component to our organization. We have a rescue component now as well. We're actually one of the few rehabilitation facilities in Canada that has a very robust, active rescue program. And part of that was driven because people would see animals out there, but they couldn't physically go out and help them. So like a Canada goose out in the middle of a pond somewhere, or, you know, pelicans, that sort of thing. So now, again, that's getting bigger and bigger too. And people are asking us to help, you know, oh, there's an injured deer at the side of the road, and, you know, so I don't think there's really any end in sight. It's all a matter of how we can build capacity to assist all of these different animals. So we're a nonprofit. We're a nonprofit organization. We have a very small staff, and we have a ton of volunteers. So we're very much a volunteer-driven organization as well.
Right on, right on. And how is now that we have COVID and all that kind of stuff, you're being a nonprofit organization, how's that kind of affected your volunteer program, your donations and all that kind of stuff? Is that kind of
Yeah,
And
it's
hit hard.
definitely going to have an impact. I think, like so many other businesses and nonprofits, we're going to be feeling the effects of this for several years.
Mhm.
Right now, it doesn't seem bad, but I don't know what next year's going to be like in the year after. In terms of our workload hasn't changed. We are seeing the same amount of animals or more. Our calls have gone through the roof this summer, and I think partly because a lot more people are at home and they're actually seeing things happening in their own yard that they never noticed before, right?
Yeah.
So we're getting more calls. Our hotline has been extremely busy, so we're definitely going to have to do something in terms of that. And I know everybody hates getting a recording, but my goodness, I mean, we only have so many people who can be on the phone at the same time. And some people just have to wait until we can actually get back to them. So we do try to triage those calls, but we're probably going to be looking at, a system with multiple lines. And, if you're calling about injured animals, you would press 1. I'm sorry. It's just going to have to be the way that it's going to have to go. And if you're calling about donations, press 2. If you're calling to volunteer, press 3. And so that we can kind of direct calls in a more efficient way. We're answering not only phone calls, but we're getting, Facebook messages. All of our staff are using their own cell phones, and we're getting messages on our own private cell phones from people that we've talked to over the years who still have our number, on their phone. So it's just like crazy, just the number of contacts. And again, it's also, the very busy time of the year for us is the spring and summer. So our organization gets in now approximately 3,000 animals a year, and half of those come in May, June, July, and August. So it's all compressed into this 4-month period. There were some days when we were getting over 100 calls a day, and we just, are struggling to keep up with that. In terms of working with COVID within our organization, we had to do some sort of staff rotations where if the staff weren't immediately involved in animal care, they were working from home. Anybody working with animal care and with our interns and volunteers, we're all wearing masks. We're trying to keep that physical distancing if we can, but we're definitely all wearing masks. And, for high-risk animals like bats, we're all, definitely masks and gloves, and there's only staff that handle those animals. Yeah. So we're trying to adjust just like everybody else to this new normal.
Yeah, and it's been an adventure so far. Right?
It has been. Yes. Yeah.
So I know one of your big programs that kicks off with your wildlife festival, which was on virtual this year.
Yes.
Did that go well?
That went fairly well, and our run actually went fairly well. Last year at our physical run, we had just over 100 people, and this year on our virtual run, we had about 90. So it wasn't too bad. Now, again, though, donations are definitely slower, but there is, there's so much need, right, hey, in the community for so many different things, and it's just going to be a struggle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then there's no getting around it.
It's
hitting everybody, and like you say, it's uncharted waters.
It's uncharted waters, and it's hard enough for most nonprofits to begin with. Like I said, we do have some paid staff, and I use the word paid lightly. I've got people that have got, degrees in biology and stuff, and they're not making anywhere near industry standard with us that they would if they chose to work somewhere else,
That's right.
So it's, we're very lucky that we have people that love what we do and love working for us and would not want to be anywhere else. So we're lucky that way, but it's tough to make a living.
Yeah, for sure. So, with some of the things that you have, like I know you have your campaign with if you find a baby hare, you leave it right there.
Yes.
That's one of the the educational things that WILDNorth does. I think those kind of things, and like you say, now with people being home now, they're seeing the young animals and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's something that I know we get a lot of phone calls for, and I can't imagine how many phone calls you get for.
Yeah.
Is fledgling birds.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to talk to us a little bit about fledgling birds, that'd be a great public service.
Absolutely. There's actually quite a lot of things that people can do, you know, on their own if they're just wondering about certain situations. Number one is to observe, you know, like take some time and observe. So if you've got a nest of babies in your tree and you all of a sudden you think, oh, I haven't seen the mom around for a while, you know, or the parents around feeding it for a while. Well, you know, go make yourself a cup of coffee and go back and sit for like an hour, you know, and watch. Because if you're, you know, if you're looking out the window and you're like, oh, I don't see them, and then you leave and you go throw in a load of laundry, or you're doing dishes and you come back and you go, oh, I don't see them. Well, she might have come and gone like 4 times in the time that you left the room. So you need to take that time to watch for sure. So number one is just to watch and observe, and go online and learn about some of these animals. These are very common animals that sadly people know very little about. So read up about them and read up about, you know, is there both male and female involved in caring for the young? You know, the other, of course, you and I've had this talk a lot, but it's cats, you know. Please, please keep your cats inside for the months of June and July. That's all I ask, just the months of June and July.
I'm an all year kind of guy. I say, treat it like you love it. Keep it indoors all year round.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I believe that cats, I love cats. I have 3 cats of my own. I have a catio, like it's not very big, but I have a way that they can go outside and enjoy the fresh air and get the stimulation without actually impacting the wildlife in my yard that I'm trying to encourage by planting shrubs and trees and berry bushes and, you know, all of these sorts of things. But my neighbor lets his cat outside. So here I have my nice yard that I'm trying to attract wildlife and, you know, neighborhood cats coming in. And I love cats. Like, I don't want to be running out there and, you know, spraying hoses at them and stuff like that. But it's very, very frustrating. So I think ideal solution is to harness train cats and go outside with them, walk with them, and watch what they're doing, or build some sort of outdoor enclosure for them so that they can still get that outdoor stimulation and fresh air and whatever, but they're not impacting our wildlife. The other things are around bird feeders, and I don't know how you feel about this. There's different, you know, thoughts about whether to stock bird feeders all year round or not. I don't think you have to stock them all year round, but, you know, if you are putting food out there, you don't have to like put tons and tons of food out there. Put measured amounts out there in the morning and maybe again in the afternoon. But, you know, we had a query from someone, well, I've got all these house sparrows in my yard and now they're, you know, they're kicking out the swallows out of the nest boxes or the wrens or whatever. But if you're putting food out, you're going to attract, you know, you can't control what animals you attract. You're going to attract animals. So there's a consequence to that, and be aware of that. And also placement of the bird feeders. They need to be either very close to the window so that the birds, when they do bump into the window, they're just kind of glancing off it, or they need to be far enough away that the birds aren't like immediately leaving the feeders and bouncing right into your windows. There's also window coverings that you can use if you do have problem windows where birds are repeatedly hitting your windows. There's different kinds of things that you can do, from you know, very expensive products like Kaleidoscape or things like that that you can purchase. Kind of like, it's the same sort of material that the cannabis stores are using, you know, so they can see out, but you can't see in. And those are very effective window coverings for problem windows where birds are hitting constantly all year round. But if you can't do that, you can also, they're finding that, I always get the vertical stripes down the window with pinstriping that you can use on cars. You can get that at Canadian Tire or whatever. But you have to do it across the entire window, and the stripes have to be about, I can't remember, I think it's about 1/2 inch. Yeah, there has to be, has to be a space in between, but that really helps break up the reflections in the window. We can't totally avoid window strikes. A lot of the products that we're using now, especially there's this trend for balcony, railings that are glass. Well, birds can't conceive that. They don't know that they cannot fly through that. So
Right.
some of the products that we use, we have to think about that. And sorry, I know I'm going on and on, but my other pet peeve is pesticides and herbicides, the kind of things that we're putting outside. All animals are going to be affected by that. There's going to be bycatch. So don't use sticky traps outside. Like, do not put sticky traps outside. Some other animal is going to get stuck in that besides the one you're trying to catch. And, ant killers and, weed killers and all of these things are affecting our small insect-eating birds and ground-feeding birds. These are all having consequences. And, honestly, I feel like, if pests want to live outside, that's their place. If they're coming inside, then okay, maybe I'm going to do something about pests coming inside my house. But if they're outside, there's only so much you're going to be able to do to control that. And we really have to be cognizant of the products that we're putting out there and how that's affecting all animals, not just the target ones.
Perfect. I'm with you on all that stuff.
Yeah. I'm sure I've missed something, but those are all my pet peeves.
No, well, those are the big ones, and those are the ones that I hear about all the time. I know you live and breathe it as well. So those are my top three as well.
I mean, even if for a mouse, I think getting caught on a sticky trap is like the worst possible way to die. I mean, just
you could never imagine.
Out, get it over with. But the sticky traps are just cruel. They're animals alive on there for days, and it's just a cruel product.
Yeah, no, they didn't even think of that stuff when they were making torture chambers and stuff back in the day. They didn't even.
I know. Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh. Hey, let's put this guy on a sticky trap.
Yeah, we'll just hang him up there for a while, see what happens.
He'll be around there for at least a few weeks. Oh.
For sure. What's the best way for people to I guess the WILDNorth's email address, so they can get in there and learn more about how they can help, what they can do, if anything, and go from there.
Yeah, probably our Facebook page, which is wildnorth.ca. So very easy to remember. And we have a lot of information on there. And in terms of learning about birds in general, all about birds, the Cornell University website is great for just general information about birds. Yep. And then, email, please don't email us about injured wildlife. If you're calling about injured wildlife, best to call us directly on our hotline, which is 780-914-4118. I should say it's our wildlife helpline. That's probably a better term to use. And please be patient this time of year. We do get back to people as soon as we can. I'd like to say we return within a few minutes, but honestly, this time of year, it may be an hour or two, depending on the urgency of the call. We try to call back urgents first if we can. And then we actually now have 2 people answering calls during the day, which is the first time, and of course staff that are getting their texts on their phones and stuff. And the staff are also supporting our volunteers that are doing at-home care with some baby hares and with some squirrels and things like that. So we're constantly talking to a number of different people, and we're trying our best. We unfortunately, we're not a 911. We cannot always respond, just like that for every situation, but we do try very hard to help out as much as we can, depending on what the situation calls for.
For sure. Well, that's great, Kim. Well, thanks for coming on and going through all that kind of stuff with us. We really appreciate it. And I know, I think Janae and Lou are going to try to contact WILDNorth to do something with them on their web show. So I think it's cool. Thanks for coming on to TVU.
Okay, thank you very much for the invite, Ian. I really appreciate it.
No, that was perfect.
Okay,
right on.
Have a good day.
You as well.
Okay, bye.
James.
Yes, it's Meika Safehouse on TVU.
My name is Kim Blomme. I'm the Director of Wildlife Services for WILDNorth Wildlife Rescue and Rehabilitation. We are based out of Edmonton, and we provide wildlife rescue and rehabilitation for the Edmonton capital region and points farther north if we can. And we have been around for 30 years providing this service. We're a nonprofit organization. Our website is wildnorth.ca. Our wildlife helpline is 780-914-4118. And we're happy to answer any questions that you have about situations that you may see. If you're not sure whether you need to actually try to intervene or not, we're happy to provide as much information as we can. And we take in about 3,000 animals per year. These are mostly birds and small mammals. We do take in other animals like porcupines and small deer fawns as well. So if you have any situation at all that you're unsure about, we will try to help you, or we will try to direct you to where you can get further help as well.